Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And as you can see, we got a loaded panel for you with a tremendous amount of awesome topics. We're going to get right into it. And we're going to start first with our one of our brothers here, Retry from Game Pass _ Daily, your best source for anything and everything that's happening on Xbox Game Pass. Retry, how you feeling, brother? Welcome.
I'm feeling good, Boom. I like the topics today. I'm excited to be here and talk about everything that's going on in Xbox. And this is like all good news stuff. I know I keep crapping on the ABK stuff because I'm just tired of talking about it. And I know it's necessary and we have to do it. But yeah, I'm liking these topics today, so I'm excited to get into it. So I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. So some bit of news popped up early regarding not so much ABK, but how much more monies Sony made over Xbox in 2022, and it is a sizable
Staggering.
amount. You know what? Best way to put it: a staggering amount. They leapfrogged Microsoft in regards to PlayStation versus Xbox and how much money they made. By leaps and bounds. And I mean, look, overall, it's good news for Xbox because I think what it does is we're all caught up with what Sony and Xbox has done in the past 20 years. And clearly the numbers are there, folks. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. All you have to do is Google who has won market share for all of those 20 years. And it's been PlayStation, right? That they're a great brand and they have a lot of great IP. And they have, for the most part, led Microsoft. Now, again, during the 360 era, Microsoft gave PlayStation and Sony a run for their money. There's no doubt about it. But what is interesting, Retry, regarding your statement is the fact that when you are a regulator, you want to see up-to-date stats. And I think there is no more up-to-date stats than what we saw, not only in Sony's reported third quarter, which they were the big winner out of all the big tech companies, but what happened in 2022. So I think that it's bad news for Xbox. If you're on the board and you want to, buy your next yacht or your next $3 million home, but if you are if you're Microsoft looking to close this $70 billion deal, you just have to say, well, look. Do we need competition in the world? Yeah, I think we do, and I think it's going to get passed. But we got a lot to get into. We're talking Killer Instinct once again, folks, because Ed Boon has stoked the fires, and I have a couple of questions for the panel. We're going to be talking about one of the biggest topics of last week that we didn't get to, that has really set a divide down the community. And that is the online versus offline for Redfall. Is it going to be a problem? We're also going to be talking about Alan Wake 2 details. It is going to be a huge step up from the original, very, very survival horror, developed. And we get that information from Benji Sales, who posted something pretty interesting about what is coming to the new title. But listen, we're going to hang out. The next 2 hours is going to be a lot of great information. Daniel McGee, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Pretty good. It's starting to warm up down here in Texas. We're back up to 70 degrees. So
baby,
feeling real good.
Oh no,
I got 65 here in South Carolina today. Sunshine, baby.
It is my wife and I we hike a couple days a week, and we went out Monday, and when we were out there, we were up at 5. We're out the door by 5:15. It was a brisk 33 degrees as we hiked almost 5 miles, and it was magnificent. We still have not had a big snow here. Like, what is going on with New York?
Weird.
I don't understand it. It's crazy. But listen, good for you on your 70 degrees. I say, boo. It's the winter here. I want winter. I want snow. And speaking of winter, speaking of snow, our shy time brother, Infinite Umbra, the man with the best voice in the business. You've gotten a lot of snow. I'm sure you're sick of it. We send some over to New York, please. How you feeling, dude?
You know what's odd? Boom. This is the coldest month in the year. and
Oh,
yet it's 38 degrees here. It was like 42 when I got off this morning.
wow.
It's actually pretty nice outside,
Mm.
and 40 for us is like summertime. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not that bad right now. Fortunately, I suppose. But all of our snow is melted away, so I guess we shipped it off to you guys already. Yeah, but like,
Masshole 1977 is it said it's a balmy 78 degrees in Florida. Good for you, brother. That's so warm. I hate the heat. I like the cold.
Me
We gotta
too.
move. We gotta move further upstate, across the Tappan Zee Bridge, where in Putnam, that area, where it snows a lot. We got to get out of here.
I'm
But
much the
listen,
same.
everyone, thank you so much. We already have, how many people we have here? We have, oh wow, 160 people, and we just literally started. I will be saying thank you and welcome to everyone individually, as I do as we get into the topics. Shout out to Drawn TJ for the generous first super chat of the day of $2. Drawn TJ, thank you so much for that. Definitely appreciate the generosity as always. But listen, let's open up with a fun one, folks. As people kind of file in here now. If you are new to the channel and maybe you don't know who Mr. Boomstick is, there are two particular games that I have been banging the drum for Xbox to make a big splash in return, one of which is Banjo-Kazooie. I actually had a chance to talk to Phil Spencer about that, and I'm not going to specifically say what we talked about, but I made mention of it. I had a one-shot conversation with him, and it was Banjo-Kazooie. It was nothing else that I talked to him about, because that's one of my favorite IPs, and I want to see it come back in a big way. But there's another IP. Specifically, this year is going to be big for fighters. Street Fighter 6 is coming, right? We also have Tekken 8 that's being released. There's a new, I believe, Guilty Gear in the works.
Yep.
There's a ton of stuff in regards to fighters. But there is one particular fighter that Microsoft owns the IP for, and that is Killer Instinct. Now, if you don't know, Killer Instinct was originally made by Rare. I played it in the arcades when it was new, which shows how old I am. But damn, that game was amazing. I spent hundreds of dollars on that machine, and my brother and I and our friends hung out in Nathan's Arcade. If you're from New York, or specifically Yonkers, you remember Nathan's Arcade. It was, it had Nathan's, like the restaurant, and which was small, and then on the side of it, it had a place where it was 200 arcade machines. It was heaven if you were a fan of the arcade scene. Of course, I was. We got lucky in 2013, where I remember where I was. Like, I was working as a police officer. I was on break, and I was watching Microsoft's E3 that everyone hated, which I still think is a good E3. Again, some of the things that were said were kind of dumb. But they showed a lot of games, and the one game that they showed, with all they did is just run the music, I jumped out of my chair and nearly hit the ceiling. Like, that's how excited I was. And of course, I'm talking about Killer Instinct, and that was originally remade by Double Helix, and then they were bought by Amazon, and then soon after that closed by Amazon, which sucks. And Iron Galaxy took over the next two seasons, and they did an incredible bang-up job. Well, why am I bringing this up today? Well, simply because just yesterday, Ed Boon, lead dog over at the team that brings us Mortal Kombat in NetherRealm Studios, posted a tweet out there that was pretty funny. And it was simplistic in its nature, and it simply said, someone added him and put a picture of Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat. Now, the reason why I wanted to open up the show with this fun thing is because, look, Phil Spencer has come out and said him and Matt Booty on a regular basis talk about Killer Instinct. But the problem is they don't have the studio, or a specific studio, to make the game, because obviously other studios don't exist anymore, one of which was making their own game. We're going to get into that in a second. But if there is one studio that could step in and be made and have this game made third party, it would be the team that brings us Mortal Kombat in NetherRealm Studios. And the reason why this is a fun topic, and he continues to stoke the fires is because going back as far as 2015, he put on Twitter, it would be great to do a Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instinct, but would have to be an exclusive. That came from Ed Boon. And then right after that, Phil Spencer tweeted at him and said, "Oh, I love this idea." Now, it has not come to fruition all these years later, but I am going to bring up a conversation that happened very early last year with Ed Boon, and he was asked about what is NetherRealm Studios making, and he says, "Look, we're not making an Injustice 3 because it's hung up with what's going on with DC. We're putting some things together, some ideas together for Mortal Kombat 12, but the project that we're working on right now is unlike anything that we have done for Mortal Kombat. And I can't say anymore, otherwise I'm going to get in trouble." So immediately my brain explodes, and I'm thinking there's no doubt that Microsoft has made a deal with WB, who at the time was hurting for money, and they probably injected a significant amount of money for them, meaning NetherRealm, to make a Killer Instinct, or maybe a Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat. And then this happens again. And he is always out there putting these little breadcrumbs. Now, is it going to actually come to fruition, folks? Probably not. And my heart will once again be broken. But I think, why talk about it, Retri, if there's nothing here? It doesn't make any sense.
I feel like he's trying to manifest it just like you are. I think Ed Boon
will it into fruition?
Yeah, will it into fruition. If he pokes, the internet bear enough times, the internet bear is going to go, fine, here, let's do this. On my list of studios I want Microsoft to acquire, NetherRealm is very high on there, and it's really to just piece together a piece of the puzzle that Microsoft is missing in their first party lineup. I know there's a lot of controversy, and it's WB and what's going on with them, and are they going to sell out these guys? And I think Microsoft could absolutely, if they do parse out and sell all the studios off, that's one of the ones I would go hard for. Mortal Kombat is the best selling fighter game. They are the best at what they do. It's exciting that we're getting stuff like Street Fighter 2 into Xbox this year. They're not skipping, which is smart. Don't do a Square Enix thing. See what happens to you when you do that. So I think he just wants it to happen. He's kind of trolling. I enjoy his trolling, but this is going on for years now, Boom. So
yeah,
I just want something to happen, something to come out of it. So hopefully we will get something. Again, we're at a standstill because ABK. After that, hopefully the gloves are off, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I got news for you regarding, talking about ABK. I listen. I know everybody wants this deal done. So I want it done. I want to stop talking about it. I want it done. So I want like you said, the gloves to come off. I want an unhinged, uncaged Microsoft that can go out and say, okay, we have nothing on our backs right now. ABK is closed. We got it. Let's start working on individual studios and IP that we can bring in. I don't know. Obviously, they're never going to get Tomb Raider. That's gone. Could they get those two studios? Potentially. I mean, that's always a possibility. Both those studios are currently working on first-party IP. So maybe there's a behind the closed door handshake deal with the head of Embracer Group that says, "Hey, listen, when this deal is done, we'll announce this, and they'll double up their money for the studios because the talent is worth the money." But specifically, Mortal Kombat's one of those IP, right? That what makes more sense? Does it make more sense to make it exclusive for Xbox because what that does is get people in the Game Pass? Potentially. Does it make sense to say, you know what? We're just going to keep it multi-plat, but the Killer Instinct versus one, that's going to be our exclusive if they're making that because it's Xbox. You know what? I'm not a money marketer, so I don't know. But I can say that either way they decide to go, the investment in the studio and the IP, which we know that Ed Boon owns, wherever Ed Boon goes, the IP follows. So if Microsoft were to purchase that studio, the IP would be a part of that purchase and would be X amount of dollars. and it's fine. It would be a good sale. But Daniel McGee, look, again, this is a speculative topic. It's made just for fun as we wait for people to shuffle in here. What are your thoughts on the consistent teasing that is being done by Ed Boon? Okay, so he had to go to the door. Umbra, take that question, brother, because he had to. He just messaged me. He had to run to the door to get something.
Toasty. Yeah, I mean, I think it is a bit of that wish it, want it, do it that's going on with you, Boom. But you know what? Listen, man, I reach for the stars too. Maybe you might land on the moon. You never know. And he does do this a lot. I mean, we've seen him do it a few times where he'll try to hype us up on a possibility of working with Killer Instinct or something like that. And maybe he's throwing out real hints. You never know. Or maybe he's trying to put it out there to Microsoft to take the bait and maybe they'll commission them to do it. Maybe that's the case too. Either way, I'm all for it. Let them do it. I feel like they probably have their hands full right now with the next Mortal Kombat that they're working on. So I don't know how soon that they will be doing this, but man, it would be nice. The last I remember we heard about Microsoft doing something with Killer Instinct, or at least what it was hinted to. I believe it was Namco or somebody like that along the lines. Yeah. So I don't know. The skepticism in me makes me think it's not going to be him, but Ed Boon knows what he's doing for sure. He knows that it's something we want. And I think it's something he wants to do. I think he loves these fighting games. It's his life. So yeah, I think it's something that maybe he's trying to push out there to see if Microsoft will bite. It could be the case, and I'm all for it, man. These veterans, legendary veteran in the game. Who better than to do something with Killer Instinct than the Mortal Kombat, co-creator and such? Absolutely.
Yeah. The story you're talking about came the way of Maximilian Dude. If you don't know who that guy is like the fighting guy on YouTube.
Danny's brother.
He kind of looks like him a little bit. Yeah. It's true. It is true. He did a video that I watched 4 times because I love the guy. I think the guy is just such a personality, but he knows his stuff, and he is one of the proponents to if you remember, he started the whole hashtag bring KI back, right? He started that and it exploded, and he wants that game back. I would love for him to be right, because he had said something to the effect that Bandai Namco had made a deal. This is what he heard with Xbox, with Microsoft, to get Killer Instinct done, but they were going to give the IP to the team that makes Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't care which one of them, because what wound up happening specifically with Bandai Namco is that, whether you know it or not, their team is the one that was building for years their fighting game, Smash Brothers. And they're not doing that anymore. They're not working on it. Smash Brothers is done. And probably, I don't know if we're ever going to get another one to keep selling the way it's selling. That's why we're not going to get a new Mario Kart. Did you see the numbers? 52 million copies, and that is just on the Switch.
Insane.
Think about that for a second, folks. Again, this is an Xbox podcast, but I just got to tell you, I want to say, just to be said, the worth the worth of an IP right now, thanks to the Nintendo financials and people like Vanjie Sales who put everything out there for us. Wario64 is another one that posted it, which was awesome. They have sold through 122 million Switches, right? Since inception of 2017. Now, think about this for a second. Nintendo is one of the few platforms that sell 2-to-1, 50+% of an IP of its released game is purchased by the masses. That explodes Microsoft, that explodes Sony. They Sony games, first party games, get into like the 10% centile, 12 if you're lucky, if it's like a Spider-Man, right? Microsoft, same thing. It's got to be a Master Chief. It's got to be a good one anyway. But whatever, pick your poison of what game would sell to the masses. They have sold 52 million copies of a remaster from the Wii U. Like, what? So look, there's I could turn this into another conversation as to Phil Spencer, Matt Booty. I'm looking at you right here on the camera. I'm looking at you.
Say it.
How
Boom.
come we don't have a kart racer
Yes.
for the abundance of amazing characters for your platform? How is it that you own two of the greatest racing teams in the history of gaming as we know it, and somebody on that team, because I know Phil's a good dude. He doesn't want to force anyone to do anything. And I, as a creator myself, love that. But there has got to be some people, you like passion projects. Hi-Fi Rush, passion project, right? Sea of Thieves, passion project. Grounded, passion project, right? We see all these passion projects. You mean to tell me that if you sent an internal document, an email to your racing teams, hey, would anyone be interested in leading a small team to do a kart racer with Xbox characters? I guarantee you 25, 30 people from those two teams stand up with like this and say, yes, I'll do it, please. This is my life. And just think about for a second. Again, I know I'm going crazy here. Just started with Killer Instinct. Now we're talking about kart racers. I'm sorry.
Normally, we wound Boom up and let him go, and he's like, zoom.
Could you imagine? Think about this for a second. Think about this, right? Like the family-friendly games. I'm a nerd, right? I like those games. I like gory games, and I like horror games because I'm a Resident Evil freak. But I like a good family game. I like a good Banjo-Kazooie. I like a good Mario Kart. Could you imagine, folks, on the first 10 levels of this, Phantom kart racer for Xbox, you're running through a Gears level, or driving on a Halo ring, or driving on a Forza track. I mean,
driving through the forest in Ori, or
Fable, or driving
Banjo
through a wasteland from Fallout.
Absolutely.
I mean, or community-made maps like Forge, build a system into the game like that, and the community can just drive the whole thing forward. Listen, this should exist.
Microsoft, I'm going to say this right now because we haven't heard Danny, so I don't know if he's on. We're hiring him just yet. Dan, you got to add your. We got to hire you, so get ready. I'm doing the pitch. This is going to be the small team that starts it. Danny, are you into this? Are you joining the kart racing team for Xbox? This is what I want.
Come to the dark side, Danny. We have cookies. Come on, Daddy.
Nah.
Oh my God! I can't believe it.
I knew he was going to do that. I knew that was coming.
You would reject
look, hey, kart racers are all good and fine, and if Rare decides they want to do one, then
they don't. Rare doesn't want to do it. I know they don't. So
it seems like Rare doesn't want to do anything.
No kidding.
Have you noticed
that we want?
Right. Nothing we want to do, they want. It's like, nah.
Right.
You want to do Banjo and Kazooie? Nope. Conquer?
Oh,
nope.
Danny. How dare you?
I'll say this. At the end of the day, there's a couple of things that I want to see happen for Xbox. They did us, or did I like where we came from. I'm a big fan of history, specifically in gaming, because where we are now and where a lot of kids are experiencing gaming for the first time is pretty epic. To come into gaming when you look on the screen today and it looks like a real person, you're incredibly blessed to be able to do that. See, I'm an old bastard, folks. Sorry, I'm going to be 53 this year. I started with sticks and dots. That's why I appreciate the where we are now even more. Right, I'm very, very fortunate to have started so young when it was nothing to where it is now. So I'm extremely fortunate. But the thing that if I had a complaint, and I have a few for Xbox, the one that would stand the most is the fact that they do not celebrate their legacy with older games. And right now, even without ABK, they have so many incredible characters and IP that are laying dormant that could be brought back even by just a track and a character select in a kart racer or a fighter. Those are the kind of games that you need to add to Xbox Game Pass in first party. And the one thing that they keep stressing in all of their conferences is diversity. You know, all different games for all different types of gamers, and that's great. But I will say, and again, we're going to get onto one of the bigger topics next. Is you got to bring the family-friendly games where dads and moms can sit with their kids and their nephews and enjoy a game together. And that's something that is missing. I know we see it in there in third party, but shame on you, Xbox, for not having your own stuff in there, because you have teams that could make a kart racer. You know, a team like Bandai Namco, which you can contract and have them make the next Smash Brothers, but for Xbox. There are ways to go about doing this. I want to see some more thinking outside the box. And that's my spiel. That's my shtick.
I'm with you on
Laughing at K. K just goes,
Yeah,
we
he
need
wa-
more Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
Listen,
Hello.
you know what? There is a new Peppa Pig coming, and it's been confirmed for Xbox Game Pass. And you know what? That's going to make bank. I sat here one weekend with Tyler, and we got 1,000 out of 1,000. You know something? When he was off doing something else, playing with his toys, I was playing Peppa Pig, and I quite enjoyed the hell out of it. So there you go.
They go get Peppa Pig 2 more.
Yeah. So listen, let's get into one of the other topics that we're going to get in that we have scheduled for today, and this one popped up last week, and I really need the near 400 people here to be involved in this conversation, because for me, it is a nothing burger. But Retri seems to think that this thing has layers like an onion, and I'm talking about the report from several of the big websites, including VGC, which is where I pulled this story from. It was confirmed that Redfall will not have a single player offline mode. And I say, okay, what's the big deal? I don't think of it as being a problem, but there are a lot of people in the community that think otherwise. They think that this needs to have an offline mode. It doesn't. You have to be online all the time. I am online all the time. I don't. For me, it's not. It's like I don't even give it a thought. And maybe I'm small-minded for saying so. But I just turn on my system. It hooks up. It connects with Xbox. It's online. I do my Bing stuff there. I do my. I go right first to my rewards. I'm racking up my points. I go down, start downloading games. I go to the store. I do everything online. It's not a problem. And I hate to see that this game that is a new IP that looks unbelievably great. It's going to give you survival horror. It's going to give you first-person shooting action. It's going to give you a Far Cry kind of a feel, is already marred by controversy that I think was kind of I think with Xbox, and again, please tell me if I'm wrong. I'd be more than happy to admit it. It always feels like Xbox is in the crosshairs, even when they're getting it right. Retri, bring us back in to the topic at hand. Offline versus offline. You said you could see it from both sides.
Yeah.
I'm interested to get that perspective. Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, okay. Do I care? Nope, not at all. I do not give any F's that this is happening for me personally. But there is another side to this, and it's not even just about bad internet connections and people. When your internet goes down or the servers go down, you can't play a game you purchased, which absolutely does stink, but it's probably a very small percentage of people that would be affected by this. The more I thought about this, the more I actually was kind of going on the side that they shouldn't have this for single player mode. And the reason for that is for like Crossfire X and a bunch of games we just saw dropping off of servers left and right. That's what makes me give a little bit of pause here. Xbox is claiming game preservation, longevity, and all this stuff where we take the old stuff that you love and make sure that it sticks around forever. Well, that doesn't happen and can't happen with a single player, always online, persistent game with DRM rights going on when they pull it from the servers. It just dies. Now, I don't really care. I don't think it's a big deal. I'm probably not going to be playing Redfall 10 years from now, but there is something to be, to be said that this is kind of a problem where the games that you buy will have an expiration date when they are no longer popular online. They'll just pull the game from the servers and then you're screwed because of that always online, persistent connection. Now, other games have done this in the past, like Back 4 Blood, and then retracted it and got rid of the always online in their single player modes, and backtracked with a patch. They can absolutely do that, and I think that would shut a lot of people up, and that would solve a lot of these issues. But there are a lot of games that do this, but then there's a lot of games that don't, like Marvel's Avengers, It Takes Two, Gotham Knights, Monster Hunter Rise, and on and on and on and on, where you can play, single player without the online always connection. Now they say it's for anti-piracy. I don't know if I buy that. This game specifically, they're talking about the progression system, and maybe that's why it's always online. I'm not really sure. Maybe they need to clarify this out, but I can see it from both sides, Boom. And everything I just said is for a small percentage of people. I think the majority of us, I don't think will care, and I don't think it matters. And of course, this is getting the crosshairs on Xbox because it's an Xbox game, and we have to hate on it somehow, right?
Yeah.
So,
See, that's
does
you know what,
annoy me.
that was actually where I was going. And I hate to be a negative Nancy, right? Like it's just not my thing. It's not how the channels run. But I mean, am I wrong? Like, look.
Well, you didn't write the stories, Boom. We're talking about stories that were written by journalists, by the community. That's not your fault. We have to talk about these topics, and we want to know from people in the chat, and the community at large. Does this really matter to you? Does this affect you? And the answer 99% of the time is probably absolutely not. I mean, I don't go back and play online persistent games that are like 10 years old. I just don't do that. I'm kind of like Pong, where I graze and then I move on and I try to play the next new hotness or whatever. So for me personally, this doesn't mean anything, but I can understand for some people that it could be a big deal. I think it's a bigger picture thing. You have to look at this not just as Redfall, as all gaming. Like, what is it going to be okay when, just pretend Crossfire X was a decent game, that let's just pretend you spent $70 on that game, and then within a year and a half,
it's
they
gone.
pull the servers from you.
Yeah.
You can't play that game anymore. I would be absolutely livid.
I would be more livid that I paid $70 for Crossfire X.
Well,
but yeah,
good stuff. Yeah, you're right about that.
Right.
I bought that on myself.
Right? You got to use your imagination. You got to use your imagination. Pretend Crossfire X was good and it was $70.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just trying to put both sides of the coin here. But for me, no, don't matter at all. But
listen, I agree. I see that when you paint it, the picture like that, it's a big L, right? Especially on a game that you paid money for. And again, there's gonna be people like, well, I'm in Game Pass, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If the game gets taken offline, you can't play it anymore. That's gonna suck. Again, it's a new IP. It is an IP that is gonna have constant content. I guess I'm looking at it from a small lens. Like, how I talk when I say I'm looking through a keyhole, I should open up the door. For this particular situation, maybe that's on me. I'm looking through the keyhole and think, well, everything looks fine. But again, if you take yourself back and you open up the door, maybe there's going to be an inherent problem. But real quick, we're going to stick with this topic, but I got to give a shout out to Pixelbit G, Tom from Toonami. I have right here 11 DMs. Folks, it has been confirmed that Sony has asked for a fourth extension, and the judge has denied it. They are fighting this
judge.
tooth and nail.
Good.
According to Jay
judge.
Wood, who posted this 19 minutes ago. And again, we're not going to talk about it today because I got to read all the stuff. We're going to talk about it tomorrow night on Primetime Gaming, along with the Hogwarts controversy that is currently enveloped the community, which, by the way, that game is, oh my God, effing amazing.
Boom really likes it. He was
Black
talking
Harry
about it
Potter,
earlier.
if you're listening, dude,
I'm
gonna
sure
have
he
to
got
bend
the
the knee
super
to you,
duper
brother,
edition.
because that game is so. I'm six, almost 7 hours in. I just hit level 8. It's amazing. It's going to be the highest selling game of the year. There's no doubt about it. But I just want to read what Jay Wood had to say. And again, I don't want to. I'm not going to cover it because I don't like covering it from reading off my phone. You know how I feel about that. We are going to cover it, I promise you, in full detail with the incredible panel tomorrow evening on Primetime Gaming. But this is what Jay Wood had to say. Sony's being completely uncooperative in the Activision case now. They are fighting the Microsoft subpoena, and they refuse to comply with the FTC subpoena despite being the primary complainant in the ABK case. Maybe because their complaints are disingenuous and the data can prove it. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I said this from the beginning, folks. If you remember, I said Sony was going to potentially find themselves in the crosshairs of the courts. And I think that the reason why we don't have a decision from the CMA and the EU is because what's going on here. Sony is being very, very
duplicitous.
rough. Yes.
You know what's crazy? That this is the biggest company they're complaining and whining to the FTC, and they're talking about the harm that Microsoft would bring to them if this deal goes through.
Yes.
Yet they want their cake and eat it too. So
yes,
they're hurting us by doing this, but we don't want to provide any evidence to show that, though. Now, how does that work?
Look, I'll put it to this way. It not only looks suspicious, but I think ultimately Sony's going to find, look, I don't know what is going to happen moving forward, but I can tell you with the way that Sony potentially, and we know that they have, faked and has said a lot of disingenuous things regarding this deal and how it would hurt them. Now they're being called to the carpet, and now they're asked to be providing documents that go all the way back to as far as 2012, which is going to show all of their dirty laundry. I think that whatever happens here is ultimately going to affect whatever they decide to do, especially when the ABK deal is done, because it is going to be done, folks. Concessions are going to happen, and if the EU and the CMA wanted to just block the deal, they would have blocked the deal. They would not have said, here's the things that we're concerned with, let's fix them. They gave them the sheets because they want to come to an agreement on some things. They're going to come to an agreement, and the FTC, like I said before, is going to have to take the knee. They're going to accept whatever concessions are being given to the UK and the EU and the CMA, and it's just going to get done, and it's probably going to get done by June. But I think that there is going to be lasting effects for Sony in both aspects, both sides of the coin. They have stepped on so many toes within the industry of people that they have so-called friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to come back to bite them in the ass. And then on the legal side of it, when they go to start making moves, the way that it is being reported now about how all of these anti-Xbox contracts, you're going to see the FTC and these other places going to say, wait a second, they're being anti-consumer, and we never picked up on it. But because they came crying and they cried wolf, now we have to look into what they're doing. You're going to see, folks, Sony is going to find themselves in a bit getting pressed from the industry and also from the legal aspect. But let me rewind this back in, and I want to go to Danny on this. Danny, what are your thoughts on the online offline thing? Like, again, for me, it's a nothing burger. I saw a lot of sites, running crazy as they do when it comes to Xbox, because you know what? Why not dump on Xbox? It brings clicks. Is this a topic that's overblown? Let's just say that.
I mean, yeah, it's probably overblown, but it's definitely not a good thing. Like, there's no aspect of a game that can be played single player being forced to be online. There's no aspect of that that's a positive. Like, I can't think of any reason why you would need that other than when it's in multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
And like Retri said, yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those things where they're going to have to either find a way to patch it out, which they probably should have done before announcing it, or they're going to have to put out a game that effectively has like, it's like on death row. It's got a certain amount of time until that server gets turned off, and it's going to,
Right.
I mean, it's going to depend on how popular that game is. Knockout City, the game
City.
we were talking about earlier a little bit.
That game was only they sunset
live.
That game.
Yeah, that game was only live for what, like, feels like 6 months. I don't even know if it was that long.
I don't think I think it was a couple. I think it was 3 months, dude. To be honest.
Yeah, just because it wasn't very popular, and yeah, of course, like Bethesda, Microsoft, they got enough money that they can keep those servers up, even if the game isn't performing well, if they feel like they need to just for PR reasons. But the fact of the matter is, if they just made it so that you didn't have to be online all the time, then this is a problem that goes away. Like it's a weird choice. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some reason why they had to, but I just don't. I don't get it. I don't understand the point of it. I don't think it's going to affect the game, like in terms of playability or its review score or anything like that. I really think that it's definitely a thing that's being overblown from what I've seen on online, right? I'm sure there's people who are like, oh, this is the most terrible thing in the world, but like I bet those people are also the people who are like, I don't know, Redfall just looks like a Left 4 Dead clone, because they like haven't been paying attention at all. So you got to sort of fact check your sources on that one, but it is definitely a bad thing. Like there's no aspect of it where it's like, well, I'm glad that it's online, because like there's no answer to that. There's no end to that sentence. So
yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people talking in the chat, and I love that. Some people like Big Mad Mo asks, has any first party games ever had their servers shut down in a short amount of time? There was the one game that was a fighter with the people on skates that how was that? I don't remember.
Bleeding Edge.
Yeah, Bleeding Edge. Yes, that came and went, and that was a passion project. It didn't hit. It could have hit. It just didn't. Look, I don't see it being an issue, to be honest with you. But
the key word from him is sorry to interrupt, is like big,
right.
and the answer is like no, not really.
Yeah.
And by the way, Knockout City was out for a long time. Like,
oh, was it? Okay.
It was. Oh yeah, it was years.
No one talked about it until it showed up on that one Nintendo.
Yeah,
Direct.
no,
it was out for longer.
I actually really enjoyed that
Well,
game, but it was out for a while on the server. So that's like not a good example of something that came and went quickly.
I mean, I guess
Crossfire
it's still
X
weird,
is a very good example of that.
That's a perfect example. That game was awful.
But it's a bad game, right? So like what Big Bad Mo is kind of saying, like, like, is there a good one? And the answer, as far as I know, is no, not really. No. So it could be a complete, something not to worry about. I'm more worried about the precedent being set, that it's okay to do this, that it's okay to have you pay for something and make that thing a useless piece of plastic or a digital code that is now worthless to you in the future. But
there are
for me personally, I don't care.
There are a few. I think I know that Rumbleverse. I keep hearing people talk about that.
That's the one. Rumbleverse. That was made by the team.
That was the one I was thinking of. Knockout City is the dodgeball one. Rumbleverse is the
Rumbleverse. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, because I said yes to it, because I thought that I actually mixed it up with that as well. In my notes, I have it mixed up. But yeah, Knockout City has been out for a while. Rumbleverse is the one that was made by the team that did Killer Instinct. That it was only out a couple of months before they had to. And I said the word sunset. I'm only using that because that's how I didn't know what that term meant. Sunset means a sunset, but when they are closing down your game,
they're sunsetting the game.
They are sunsetting your game. That's the term. I'm just FYI
for
that. But
there were other first person. That was another first person shooter too, by the way. Like there are typically these live service games.
Yeah,
they don't last. Only the cream of the crop really kind of do. So there's other ones. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they got closed down too. They were sunsetted, if you will. So I can't think of the name of them right now. But anyway, just to kind of jump on this, the whole thing really comes down to, and these two gentlemen already answered it, but a lot of a fuss gets made when it's Xbox, if you all haven't noticed that.
Yes.
So while this is not necessarily, like Danny pointed out, it's not like, yay, it's always online. There's no real positive to point to there. unless there was like, I don't know, some procedurally generated type stuff coming from that or something. I don't know. Lawbreakers is one of them. General's Partner.
Yeah.
That's right. That's one of them. It was another one too. But outside of that, it this stems back, I think, to me when I hear always online. What does that give you all thoughts of? To me, it gives me thoughts of 2013. Exactly.
Yes.
That's why so many people are having such a volatile reaction, because it's like, hey, we've been through this with you all before. Didn't we teach you this lesson the first time, old man? That's what it's coming down to. You know what I mean?
I love it.
That's what it is. And it's like nobody wants to deal with 2013 Xbox One again. We got away from that. Don't take 3 steps back. That's the biggest thing. And I'll be honest, I will say it does seem like it's tone deaf on Microsoft's end to allow that news to get out there, knowing how bad that actually hurt them before with that news. But like Redfall pointed out, though, it can be patched. There's been games that have had that done. I believe our good brother Miles Dampier pointed out Evil Dead, or what was it, Dead by Daylight may have did the same. One of those games, I forgot what it was. It wasn't Dead by Daylight. It was something. It was there where they patched
Blood
it.
did it.
Back for Blood, I think that's what it was he was talking about. Thank you, because I know it was some type of horror-based game. But he mentioned that they did patch it for that. So it can happen. We know it can happen. It's not like it's something super scientific and tough. Right. Yeah, it's fixable easily. So, but my thing is, I think for one, Xbox already gets way more heat than it should over minuscule trivial things. But two, you add to that the fact of 2013 and the DRM situation, and then it blows up, and it's like, wait a minute, we don't own this. I can't play this offline. You know what I mean? And the thing is, for me, and like Retri pointed out, this is a non-issue for me. I am always online anyway. I game share.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And for anybody that's here in the chat, if you all game share, this is a non-issue for you too. You know what I mean? And I think the more we're going into the digital landscape, the more it's become irrelevant, honestly. And I think it's become more of a principle thing for most people. They're arguing off of principle. It's not really that's something that really affects them. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it comes down to. What I will say though is it's not a good look. I think we can acknowledge it just because it calls back to the 2013. Yeah. But this will kill any physical sales, because you do see a lot of people complaining about that. Well, I'm not going to buy the physical because you all could shut down the servers or something like that. Never mind that Microsoft has been at the forefront out of all the big three of covering their games when it comes to backward compatibility and things of that nature. Hell, I believe I was watching Mint Blitz playing Halo 3 on one of the old servers the other day. It's like, no, you'll get your time to play this game. They're not going to just shut you out. It's not going to happen. And Microsoft wouldn't want that PR blowback either. So it's really a non-issue at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
But I do have to jump on your train here and say that this is once again Microsoft not being proactive to quell a situation that, again, why allow for these things to become raging fires when you can just grab the fire extinguisher off the wall and spurt it once and the fire's out? Now it's made its way. It went from a little fire in the corner, now the whole building's in flames because people are talking about it. They need to get ahead of this. And look, I'm not a developer, so I don't know, and I don't feel confident enough to say, oh no, they could just make an offline mode. That's not going to be a problem. But if that in fact is the case, and they just needed to get the game done, so right now it's online only. If there is going to be an offline option, then the minute this story hit, a press release should have come out. Boom. Hey, listen, right now it's online only, but we're working on an offline mode. We just got to get the game out. Right. And then everyone goes and it pulls their stories, and we're not even talking about it on here because, and maybe we are because Microsoft jumped in the scene and didn't let things fester. And you're absolutely right, Umber, when you say there is something to be said in this current industry that Microsoft whatever they do, it could be the most righteous move ever.
Yep.
And somehow, and again, I
Mhm.
want to talk about it for a hot second while we're here. There is literally nothing wrong with Hi-Fi Rush, but yet instead of celebrating a Shadow Drop 10 from Microsoft, who notoriously never does things like that. Like, you would expect Sony or Nintendo to do this, right? Somehow, instead of celebrating Hi-Fi Rush made by a team that most people didn't even know Microsoft owned, right? Who's Tango Gameworks? I never even heard of them. I got that a lot of my DMs.
Mhm.
And instead of celebrating what is, because there are people hunting right now. I'm playing through the game to find bugs. Shouldn't you be playing the game just to play the game and have fun? No, I have to make sure this is good. What the are we doing, folks?
Right.
What
Good
are
luck
we doing?
finding it in that game. That game is ridiculously
That game
polished.
is when I say it is a perfect
So
10. I'm at
good.
the last boss right now. I have savored every minute I have played it. I think I put almost 20 something plus hours into it. Loved every second of it. Not one bug. Why are we not celebrating that? Because it's Xbox. If this was on
Mhm.
Switch, if this was PlayStation, it would be, you see, you Xbox, you'll never have something this good. And
Yep.
point the finger and laugh.
They've been talking about Game of the Year possible early
Game of
right
the
now.
year.
100%.
Keely would have
100% Game of the Year
tweeted
would
about
come
it
up.
37 and a half times.
Can't
in
get
one day.
enough of chai. I like chai tea too.
Right?
It sounds
So
like something
that's-
corny he would
And
say. I don't
peppermint
know.
tea.
Doesn't it sound like something he would say? I like
He
my
would-
chai
he would say
tea
that,
with my
unfortunately.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Mhm.
Anyway, but
I'm
just
gonna
to
get a
say,
cat. Name it 808.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Everybody
It's-
play with me.
It's gonna be black too. I'm gonna give it a blue collar. Don't you just love Sony?
But yeah, my thing, man, it's like I said, it's when it's Xbox, people will blow it, overdo it, they'll get over
Dramatize
dramatic,
it.
over dramatize it, exactly. And that's what's tiresome to hear,
It is.
honestly. It's just annoying, honestly, because of that. And like I said, I think I get the principle of it, I do, but I think, and like we pointed out, me and you, Boom, is that Microsoft has to be better at the PR aspect of this. If we know that's what they're going to say, the general audience, at least the hater types, are going to jump on that to try to make it a negative immediately and down that game even before it hits release. We have to make sure, Microsoft has to make sure, at least, to stem that tide, because I haven't heard them come out officially and say anything to that.
No, they have not. They haven't said anything. No, they
Yeah,
have not.
where's Phil with the classic? We hear you. We need to hear that from you, Phil. Come out and say, hey, we hear you guys. We're working on some, a situation right now to try to fix that, because this is all, what adds to it too, because Redfall also, we know, had that issue now that we know with the multiplayer situation won't carry over. So this is just more unnecessary negative news for this game that it does not need. It's a new IP. They have to cut that negativity as fast as they can, in my opinion, because you already had some people I saw trying to downplay it from the last showing. Oh, it looked terrible. It didn't look that good. And I'm talking about journalists. It wasn't just, our who.
Which I don't know what they were watching, because what I saw was
agree.
like, yeah, I like that.
It looks great to me. But I think the stream didn't help. I mean, but when you watch it over in 4K, I think a lot of people changed their minds. I heard some people change their minds after they saw it in a better bit rate and such.
But you see something, but to that point, that's exactly the problem. It is being streamed. So instead of being hypercritical, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that doesn't really look that good. That is just, again, it's stoking the fires of negativity because it's Xbox. Because you would not hear a journalist say that for a Nintendo game or a Sony game. Sorry, that's just fact.
I agree. And I
Because
just
they'll
wanna,
never see another code again. That's why.
Right.
Microsoft won't do that. Sony will pull it from you. They don't
Yeah,
care.
Microsoft needs to be more cutthroat like Sony when it comes
Yep.
to that. Like maybe.
Retro's been saying that for a long time.
Mhm.
Yep.
Uh,
Screw IGN.
Yeah, and
Kill
just to
their
say,
asses.
and then they'll really go hard on them. Then, Microsoft, they're terrible. But
They do anyways.
I know, right? But like
You know?
Sappho, you said despite the negativity, if it's a great game, it'll fall to the wayside. That's not always true. Even great games have been snuffed by bad press. Hell, the press in
Yes.
general has snuffed great people. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that's not always true. Just because something is functionally great in our eyes does not mean that they can't bury it and make it a negative. They absolutely can, and they can highlight that negative more than the positive of that game. And I'm saying this is a new IP. I don't think you want to allow that to become the story versus the positives of this game. It's a great looking game. It's made by a quality developer team with Arcane. You don't want this to be some type of negative stigma on it, and because we know that they're coming from Microsoft and Xbox anyway. So
Yeah. Mhm.
get ahead of that and say, hey, we're hearing you guys. We're trying to work on solutions. It's very simple, positive PR. I think that can at least tie the contingent over that are trying.
They could
to
have
be
dropped it on
negative.
Xbox Wire. Hey, an update on the concerns, and start off the thing. We hear you.
Exactly.
We hear you about the online. Don't worry about it. We're working on an offline mode right now for single player. We will have an update in the future. That's it. But what you do is you douse the fire before it gets out of control, as it did last week. And again, we're talking about it because we didn't get a chance to specifically break it down, and I like reading up on it. So I wanted to talk about it today. But look, I'll say this: this game is going to slap. It is going to be a game that brings in both a single player and multiplayer community. I'm going to play it in single player. That's how I'm going to play it. I don't have a lot of time during the day because obviously I have a household to run with Mrs. Boom. I got to make sure that I spend enough time with her and still do 5 shows. So I'm not a multiplayer guy. It's gonna better suit my everyday life as being single player. I'm not worried about it being offline because it is going to be it's a new IP and it is going to hit. It is Arcane Studios. All Arcane does is release great games. This is going to be no different.
And I'm with you on that. I just think that they need to make sure to highlight that you don't want these negatives tearing again. Because when I start thinking about Microsoft and their first party games, especially new IP, I go back to, and it's funny because we always say it. We always go back to those launch games and the games that were near launch for the Xbox One that unfortunately, due to negative press,
yes,
and the launch of the Xbox One, at least the announcement rather, they got buried. I still look at Rise and I shake my head in disappointment. Like that game we should have gotten a sequel for that, and because
we should have had a trilogy already.
Absolutely.
All jokes aside, we're 10 years removed. Think about that for a second. We're a decade removed from when Rise launched, and now 10 years, a decade has gone by. I play that footage all the time.
Right.
And when people see it, they're like,
I'm sorry.
It still looks when was that game from? 10 years ago, and it looks like a current Sony game right freaking now.
It's gorgeous, and just it was some slight mismanagement on it because originally it was a Kinect game.
Yes.
Like I can imagine if it was made from the ground up, just being an actual action game with the controls and stuff, how much better it could have been received. And it wasn't perfect, of course, but that game got a lot of negativity it didn't deserve. Quantum Break got a lot of negativity it didn't deserve.
Great game, still looks amazing.
Exactly, and we haven't gotten a sequel for it, and from Remedy, and I know we're possibly bringing up something about Remedy later, but I just want to say, like, those things have long-lasting repercussions because of the press. So people say, "Oh, the press, that doesn't matter." It does matter. It does matter if you have negative press. Negative press has kept Xbox, as a negative in gaming news for a long time. It's because of us as a community that we are so great as a community. I think, and I don't say this just to blow our heads up, but I think the Xbox community is the best in any gaming community.
100%. I agree.
Personally. And maybe the Nintendo fans might hold a candle to us. I mean, they buy much better more than we do. I saw those sales. Of Mario Kart 8.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
But like as a community, we always uplift each other. We're there for each other. We support each other.
Yes.
And we will defend these games that we know are quality games, despite what the masses and the press have tried to tell us otherwise too. So I'm just saying that Microsoft needs to make sure they're proactive, just as they have been this whole gen with it, really, when they started the announcement of the Xbox Series X. How you saw how aggressive that was?
Yeah.
That's the Microsoft I want to continue seeing for the rest of this cycle of this generation. I want them to stay aggressive on all fronts.
Same.
You know, that's my thing. So, but again, it is more of a non-issue, but it's blown up because it's Xbox. If we're being honest, we know that's what it is. And somebody mentioned in the chat, Hogwarts Legacy is always online, by the way. But you're not hearing that about that.
No,
it's not.
No, it's always online, and there's
the Hogwarts
zero
Legacy doesn't have to be
zero
online.
It doesn't?
multiplayer.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
Okay. Well, whoever that was in the chat, you're wrong.
Okay.
I was just checking on that. The WBPR or whatever answered a couple questions about it, and they were like, they were saying it doesn't need to be online, but they are, well, not for the single player, because obviously there's a certain amount of like co-op, but they were saying that they recommend it for patches and DLC and stuff.
Okay.
Right,
well, and my thing comes back to it too. I think we're more of a I think Xbox gamers are more digital fun leaning anyway.
Yeah.
So even with that in mind, it's like we're always I game share again. I know most of you guys probably do too. I'm always online. Literally, I have to be to play my games here. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you know, have my family enjoy it where they're at. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Again, I mean, take the temperature of the room. I think it's a non-issue. But to be fair, and not to just squash it because it's negative Xbox news. To Infinite Numbers' point, Microsoft needs to be a bit better when it comes to getting out in front of situations like this. I don't know if they're working on offline mode. They should probably, to be honest with you, because everything else is, if there's a single player aspect, that part should be allowed to be offline. I don't know the technical, demographics of it because I'm not a developer. But if they don't have it now, they should be working on to get it done at some point. And that's going to be the end of that. But let me catch up on the super chats. I'm going to get into some Fable news. We actually have some real earth-shattering Fable news, folks. And I'm super stoked. We also, for next super chat of the day comes the way of Brett Bingham. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says, Phil, Aaron, and the engineering team need to design the next Xbox console with Xbox Design Labs in mind. I want to customize my own console. That is a dope idea. They've done it for controllers. They've done it now for Elite controllers, which is dope. People have been asking for that. They should do that for consoles. And they don't have to get crazy. That what they could simply do to streamline it is make 10 designs. And one design is Master Chief. One design is Marcus Phoenix and Gears. Another one is Banjo-Kazooie. Pick whatever 10 characters you want on there and say, okay, when you go to order your console, the customizations would be kept down to a minimum. At least that's how I would do it to streamline it so we can do it. 10 designs, 10 different consoles. You order the one you want. You press the button. You say, I want number 5, and that number 5 is Forza. You get your custom Forza controller to match your console, and it costs you an extra $50 or $60 or whatever they're going to charge you, and everyone's a winner. Microsoft's a winner because they made you pay for this design. You're a winner because you got the design you wanted. I love that idea, Brett. That's a fantastic. Jacob Novick drops $2 super chats, and the first one he says, idea, Maximilian as a guest on XVlog Live. Let me tell you something, dude. I still, after 5 years, when I interview the big people that have like these massive channels, I don't get anxiety. I get, because I want to do a good show. I don't even know if that guy even knows that I exist. I'm a big fan of his, and I would love to interview that dude, along with Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer and even Aaron Greenberg to get him on here. I have a bucket list. But yes, I would love to sit down for an hour or for 60 minutes or even 70 minutes with Maximilian. I think that would be dope. He drops another $2 super chat and says, I think if Bandai is the secret buy, he says, I think if Bandai is the secret buyout Xbox wanted, I mean, that would be pretty big.
That would be major. They're the biggest publisher out there in Japan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, forget again, you look at Bandai Namco and all you see is like gaming. They are much more than that. They have toys, merchandising. They have a whole arms of the company that does outside of gaming. That would be massive if they did that, and that would be a big one. That would be a big one. No doubt about that. Tom from Tanami drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, breaking, Sony is refusing to cooperate with the FTC or Microsoft. Yeah, I think it's going to come back to bite them. And like I said earlier, people had asked me, can they get in trouble? I think they can invoke one of the amendments so they don't have to answer. I don't specifically know for business what that would be. The judge could find them in contempt of court for not doing what they were asked to do. What I will say this, and again, I want to really talk to some people that I really trust. I have to read up on this. I gotta read all the stuff. I'm gonna see if I can get a specific dude I've been trying to get on the show. I'm see if I can get him to come on tomorrow night with us. But I want to speak to Everborn. I want to speak to Keosante. I want to speak to Dutch and Mag.
Hey, Boom, who was that? I forgot the gentleman's name at this minute. We had him on here. You had him on here, and it's also he was on Boxing Burger with me. He does work almost kind of like Hogue does.
Luke
Lore. Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I said Luke
Steele,
Lore.
right?
No, not Luke Steele. I said Luke Lore is the other Luke. That's the other guy that does XEP.
Right.
Go follow that dude. Luke Lore is amazing. That guy is awesome. But yeah, it's Luke Steele.
That's right.
And Steele. You know what? It's funny. Thank you for reminding me because I'm going to see if I can get Luke to join us tomorrow night as well because he is an acquisitions attorney. He's worked on $1 million cases. And
he's worked directly with the CMA too.
He has worked with the CMA. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna see if I can get him on as well. But Drawn TJ drops a very generous $5 super chat, additional $5 super chat, says Xbox needs to make a studio that makes spin-offs or passion projects of Xbox IP. You see, that is what I'm talking about. When you have as many studios and as much talent as Microsoft has, I will say this, and I got to bring Sony into the conversation. Did you know that Sony has an unnamed studio that is only there to pretty up their games once they're done? Like literally one of their first party studios, like Sony Santa Monica, will say, okay, the game is done. And they hand it over to this team that is a movie quality team that makes this game look as good as every one of those Sony IPs. Listen, I'll say this again. If you don't like Sony because they're scumbags, I hear you. I hate Sony, but I like PlayStation. I like it a lot, and I love their first-party games. You cannot argue that when you pop on one of their games, you're like, holy shit. Does this game look good?
Sounds like Microsoft needs to emulate that practice.
100%. Yep. They need a studio to pretty up their games before they hit the masses. That I think is a great idea. Fantastic one, Drawn TJ. Bunty, who's been a channel member, wow, for 20 months. Bunty, thank you so much, brother, for the support. He goes, Wagwan, boom. And panel. What's the problem? Isn't always online all of the service games now. So what's the complaint? People just want to hate on Xbox. And we have Jericho, who's not only a new channel member, he drops a very generous $10 super chat. And he says, Redfall could be using cloud computing for certain things like Sea of Thieves does with the water, among a few other things. Great. See, that's what I'm saying. That's a designer or someone that understands the finer points of design, because I wouldn't even have thought that. So thank you for the generosity, Jericho. And thank you for the hot topic. But listen, folks.
Boom.
Yes, sir.
Scott Gamer Dude said a game developer fluffer. Yeah, get them prepared before they get to the big show. Yeah.
Listen, I don't know. They need to do something. I'll say that. But listen, folks. Thanks to Idle Sloth. He's human, folks. I have it confirmed. He's a human being. He is not an AI. But the guy works like one. You say otherwise. Yeah. See, Retro thinks he's a robot. He's just telling us
what a robot would tell you. Exactly.
Well, he did what he always does, Retri, and he posted something that had me very excited. Now, anyone that knows me or been following chat for a while, I am a huge Fable fan. I have beaten 1, 2, and 3 multiple times. I know 3 is not the greatest, and it wasn't my favorite. 2 is my absolute favorite. It's 2, 1, and then 3.
Mhm.
I love the Fable franchise. Bringing Fable back to modern day gaming is something that I applaud Microsoft for doing. Playground Games obviously is handling it with the help of Eidos Montreal is helping with that, which is pretty awesome, to be honest with you, because they know how to make great games. Well, we have learned, thanks to Idle Sloth once again, who posted on Twitter, that according to VJ Gill, who is the producer of the Fable game, the game is in playable state. And he goes on to say, preparing and felicitating regular game playthroughs and build reviews with key stakeholders. That comes the way of his LinkedIn. So we do know that the game is playable. Is it playable from start to finish, kind of like Starfield is and kind of like Redfall is? I don't know, because it doesn't specifically say, but I can tell you this gives me hope that this game isn't 3 years away. I have a strong feeling, and again, it's not because I talk to anybody, simply because I'm just a fan, and what we know has been put out there. This would be one hell of a fall game for 2024, a holiday game for Xbox. It's going to be an exclusive. It could be something as monumental and big and powerful as like The Witcher 3 was, with Fable, and it's going to be an exclusive. It's going to be on PC. It's going to be on Xbox. But I mean, I have complete faith in Playground Games that they're going to deliver the same way the team that brought us Killzone eventually moved on to Horizon, which again, you know, your love of that game may vary. For me, Horizon 1 is probably one of my favorite new IPs from Sony. I didn't care so much for 2 because of the bugs, but that's here nor there. I loved 1. I love Aloy, and it just goes to show you that a team that was known for one thing comes back, and they're given the time to make something else, and it's something as powerful and industry changing as Horizon was for Sony during the PlayStation 4 era. I think Playground Games is going to deliver as well. Retri, when you hear the game is playable, does that get you excited that this game could be coming out sooner than later?
Yeah, I mean, it boosts my confidence with all the negativity that was going around on Fable, which I think was, again, blown out of proportion. Yeah, so like we're like what, about 3 years into the development of this game. So
well, supposedly there was okay. In 2018, when they announced that they were buying Playground Games, again, this is rumors, folks. Supposedly they had a build that they wanted to, that was not Fable, that was turned into Fable. So I don't know how much has changed since then. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but I know that since it was officially announced, it's been 3 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. So they could have had the bones of it way before 2020. So, which makes, you know, my confidence level go up even more. One of the main reasons I'm very excited to see this, because I really want to see what Playground and the Forza tech engine on a game like Fable, what it can do, what it can look like, and gameplay mechanics, and how it's going to play. And obviously, I want to kick some chickens, but I'm just so curious to see the translation, because there's a lot of talk in the industry, and Halo comes to mind, that you can't change engines. I completely disagree with that. And I want to see them prove it. We've already seen it with Halo anyways. If you guys were paying attention, we already know they changed engines. That's how they got into Slipspace in the first place. Still feels like Halo to me, doesn't it? Does it feel like Halo to you? Just saying. So I'm curious to see with the Forza tech, is there going to be, I mean, it's going to be probably a bigger game. So I wonder, like, are we going to get like ray tracing? Are we going to get, because that engine is unbelievably powerful. It does great with the environment too. So I think it actually fits pretty well with something like Fable, especially with the new, Forza games coming out. They just look beautiful. You got weather, dynamic weather coming through too. I would love to see that come to Fable as well. So I'm excited. We also there was some negativity about Fable 2 with the writer too, which, if you actually looked into this and did 5 seconds research, you would find out that it was just a writer that was promoted from lead writer to lead narrative writer, which is Anna Miguel, who's working on the Avatar game, who worked on Dishonored, who worked on what the heck was the other game? Control. Control was the other game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, her pedigree is
all great stories, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So we know the story side of this should hit hard. It should slap really good, I think. So I'm excited that it's in a playable state. I think it's possible that this game is a holiday next year. I would put in a holiday. I think Fable it's got to be near a major release window, and November of 2024 seems like a great place to put a game of this caliber, I think. So yeah, I'm excited. Boom. I'm glad it's in a playable state. It's all good news. Games get scaled as there was that whole controversy too.
There was that
about scaling the
controversy. Oh
game.
my God, they're scaling it back.
Ridiculous. It's another non-story.
Yeah.
It's a story written by people who don't clearly understand the industry whatsoever.
Yep.
So it's all smooth sailing from here. I expect great things out of Fable, and I have complete confidence in this team. They've never let us down.
Nope.
Give them a chance. You know what I mean? Until they let us down, then we can say, have they ever not hit? No, they haven't. They're one of the best studios in the world. They'll pull this off, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I have complete confidence. I know someone that's currently on the development team that has told me some things, and I'm very confident this game is going to hit. Like I cannot wait for everyone to see the game. I haven't seen it myself per se, but I have been given some information that has me very, very excited. Daniel McGee, let's get your opinion on this, brother. I see a lot of people in here. The Black John, good friend of the program, says that he would like to see the game hit potentially in he thinks it might hit 2024 holiday or early 2025. And I really want to shout out Retry for that, because I think it has to hit either in a holiday or the beginning of the year where big games seem to set. What are your thoughts on what we're hearing about the game being playable?
I mean, it's definitely good news, right? It means that the game is going along as it should. It's seemingly pretty well on track. Like you said, they only went into full development on it, like you said, about 3 years ago, right? Which would mean theoretically they've got another 1 to 2 to go, and maybe it'll extend past that because it's their first time making something like this. So maybe it'll extend into like 2.5 to 3 years. Who's to say? But it goes to show that it's exactly what we were talking about. Last week, maybe the week before, where it's just people who just do not understand what they're talking about and do not understand the industry hear about very minor bumps in the road or somebody moving positions or whatever, and they start catastrophizing the whole situation and being like, oh man, Xbox is dead, this project is doomed, everything's terrible, it's the end of the world, dude, man, what are we gonna do? And just like start completely freaking out and losing their minds. And then you know, without fail, like what, a week later or whatever, you get another report that's like, no, actually they're doing fine. Or like Jez Corden will reach out to them and be like, and hear back that everything's moving along as planned. And
the
it's just like,
the devs had to come on Twitter to shut everyone up.
it's
I think that's what
ridiculous.
ended up
It's
happening.
absolutely ridiculous, you know? And it's like, hey, because I know who this is, right? Like, I know the kind of people who freak out about the smallest things that happen. They're like, oh, it's the end of the world, right? And the thing I want to point out is it's like why are we not applying that to other aspects of the industry, right? Where it's like Xbox just put on a phenomenal show. They've got a first party game that Shadow dropped, and we have all these release dates for games this year. Everything's looking up for them. Nintendo's going to do the same thing tomorrow, presumably, as they're talking about. I mean, they're only talking about games for the first half of the year, although they have been known to extend out of that for a couple of like surprise things here and there. I think it's going to be a bigger one. It's 40 minutes, and Doug Bowser already like retweeted it and was like, "Get out those bingo cards," which is like bold words. Doug, I hope you live up to it. Right. So I'm thinking it's going to be a big one. We've already been seeing rumors about that, where they're going to potentially announce another new Fire Emblem, but like one of the remake ones, the Echoes. So we'll see. And meanwhile, like, you know, where's PlayStation? Where are we at? When was the last time we had a proper showcase from PlayStation?
Crickets.
Right. What we know of, what, 2 first party games from PlayStation Studios right now, and they're both being made by Insomniac. Like maybe 3 if you want to be really generous and count factions, and you think that that's going to be like a proper game, you know. But we'll see. It's wild to me, because it's like people will hear these just completely unfounded, you know, not backed up sources of like, oh, Fable's doomed, Perfect Dark is doomed, and they'll just run with it and like freak out for days and days and DM me and be like, oh man, this Xbox is what a mess. Their leadership is terrible. But then at the same time, it's like, yeah, but look at their number one competitor, right? They've been flying around crying about how they can't live without Call of Duty and how, oh, their numbers are going to be terrible. And then like, for some reason, the FTC doesn't ask for it. Xbox has to specifically subpoena them and be like, "Hey, can you actually give us the numbers on how it's hurting you?" And they're like, yeah, dude, yeah, it's right over here. Can I get an extension on that? It wasn't in the backpack I thought it was. I think I left it at home."
I love it.
It's like, which of these 2 studios, they're like teams, do we really think is in trouble? The one where we have all of these games that we know about that are coming and like have release dates, and even we know things probably further off that we're supposed to know, or is it the one that we know literally 2 things and they're not talking about anything? They're just saying how they are literally saying themselves how they're doomed if this deal goes through. Like what? Like why are we? It's so confusing to me, where it's like, it's just these people who they just want to assume the worst of absolutely every situation, and it goes the other way too, where people want to, you know, they hear one thing and they're like, this is the best. It's the, you know, oh man, they just turned everything around with this one announcement. And it's like, all right, can we just be real for a second here? Like, I don't know. It's something that's always irritated me. So I'm really glad that we're starting to get more positive news about Fable come out, because it's just like there it is. Like it's this game that, yeah, probably they announced before they should have, but everyone already knew it was being made, so why not? And it's like, I'm glad it's here. You know, it's this consistent thing that really irritates me about like leaks, even where, and you know, not to get on Jez Corden or like Jeff Grubb. I love them. I think they're both phenomenal. But the problem with leaking these games out so early is that then everyone starts to expect things from them, even when those games aren't only like 6 months, a year into development, and there's nothing to show. Because it's like a whiteboard and some, you know, stick figures as far as code goes.
Exactly.
And so people don't hear about it for the next couple of years, and they're like, "Oh no, it's doomed," and like they go into this downward spiral of just assuming the worst about everything. It's just like, I don't know. It's a real mess, and I'm glad that people are starting to turn around on it. As far as when it comes out, I'm hoping sooner rather than later. But I don't know. I wouldn't expect it until like 2025, probably.
I mean, listen, again, we don't know. I say take all the time you want. There's literally No rush. There is a lot of games coming out specifically this year. We have Starfield. That's gonna be a life stealer. You obviously have Redfall. That's going to be it's going to quell both single and multiplayer fan bases. Motorsport is going to be what it's going to be. There's a lot to play. There is no reason to rush this game out because obviously it is launching the brand, and you want to do it right. So take as long as you need, and maybe it's first quarter of 25, like some people are saying in the chat. That's fine at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it done right. Make it big. Make it again, you want a Witcher 3 level open world game, to allow players to do what they want and become the hero, the villain they want. And obviously it's gonna be interesting. But Infinite Umbra, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Where do you feel like what are your thoughts on hearing that the game is playable? Does this give you hope that this is something that we see in 2024? Because we're definitely not seeing it this year, and that's fine. And we're going to Hellblade at the end of the year, most likely. This doesn't have to come out now. There's a lot of big Xbox first-party games. Do you have confidence knowing the game is playable, or at least in a playable state?
Absolutely. I mean, like you, Boom, I'm a big Fable fan too. Fable. I'm a big Fable fan as well. And I think it's also kind of the reverse for me. I think part 1 is my favorite in the series, then 2. 3 is kind of hit or miss. And so, but yeah, man, I am actually very excited to hear that news. Just like Retri and Danny pointed out, though, like we hear those negatives, and a lot of people ran with it immediately, and oh no, it's in trouble, and so on and so forth. But it goes back to a point we were talking about earlier in Microsoft stepping forward to clear up those things, But yeah, it's good to hear that, because to me, it, at least in my head, it tells me, I see Luis for review.
I saw that the Fable. I like
that. They need to keep up with Fable and Halo, but yeah, to me it tells me that we may be getting at least a vertical slice of it at E3, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping we get to see what this game looks like this year. But if not, I would say my thinking is 2025. It sounds like it's further out than closer, unfortunately. And I've been wrong several times, saying like, "Oh yeah, they'll show it this year. Oh, they'll show it this year." I've been wrong every time, so I'm just going to extend that out until a 2-year time frame.
And that's fair. I mean, like I said, there's literally, I see people in there saying that we're going to have so many third-party and second-party games on top of all the first-party stuff that they don't have to pile everything on top of each other.
That's true.
They just don't.
It's true. I mean, this year is proof enough. I mean, especially if we get, Hellblade 2 later in this year, and depending on, of course, when Starfield would drop. And of course, I think, aren't we supposed to get Age of Empires 4 this year as well still?
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, that's like 5 or 6 right there. Just counting some of the games we got, of course, with Hi-Fi Rush and things of that nature. Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall. So yeah, I think that it definitely, I think it would give any of us confidence that they're on the right path. I will say this though, I'm a bit of a Unreal Engine fanatic, and I
Great
push
engine,
it.
dude.
It's a spectacular engine, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want to see this engine," and enough with the Unreal Engine love. It's like, listen, man, when you have something that's working and it's
don't fix
reliable,
it if it ain't broke.
That's what I feel. So I know I got some flack from Risky and Jedi Knight Peter, where they were like, I don't want to see all games on Unreal. I'm like, I couldn't care less as long as that game looks beautiful and runs well and comes out in a timely fashion. And typically people train in Unreal Engine before they actually become developers. So it's a well-known tool. So I'm kind of on the side of, man, I sure would have loved to see this in Unreal Engine for this game. We probably would already have seen how it looked at this point, being honest. But I do understand where Retri and others come from, where they want to see with this Forza Tech engine how it's going to look with this game, because it is a great engine too. We haven't seen it used to do an RPG though, so that's my only worry. I'm just wondering how it's going to affect things.
It's unproven.
Yeah, it's unproven as far as
For that.
combat and things of that nature. I mean,
Yeah,
unless
yeah.
they're going to give me a GT to drive inside of Fable or something like that. I don't know. But outside of that, I'm wondering how it's going to work in fashion of combat. If you be on a mount like a horse or something like that or whatever, something mystical. I'm hoping they go to Harry Potter route and give us some type of, mystical hooved creature like a
Yeah.
Sony pony. Oh no,
You're gonna go there. Pegasus.
a Pegasus, if you
Yeah.
will, fly around.
Sony Pegasus.
Absolutely. I'm going to name it Jim Ryan. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm extremely excited. Like I said, this is one, to me, people talk about Avowed and all, and I am hyped for Avowed. I'm hyped for well, I was going to say Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls takes the cake for me, but that'll be a long time.
Yeah.
So, but Fable is the one that I'm the most hyped for out of all the IP that's coming forward actually right now. If I had to do a number one through whatever, I think to me Fable is the one I'm anticipating the most, and it's been that way for a long time. I've been asking and pleading. I wished it, wanted it, and it's being done. Boom. So hold true to that dream of yours for the Killer Instinct, because you too can get your dream, brother. But yeah, I've wanted it for a long time, and it's I know I'm not alone there. All of us did. It's a quality franchise. It's a quality IP. It just goes back to the point that Microsoft needs to make sure to nurture those IP, the ones that they have in a vault, the ones that just untouched. And I think Playground has done nothing to dissuade us as far as their pedigree. And I talk to a lot of gamers in general, and sometimes I'm in the spaces, as you know, and they're like, well, how do you know they're going to do good on Fable, blah, blah, blah? Because of their pedigree. It's the same thing if you told me Naughty Dog was making a game. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, that's going to be, I don't know. They've never done that. You got Cory Barlog is making a spacefaring game. I don't know if that's going to be good. No, these are people who've proven time and time again they make quality. Has Playground even had a game under 90? Or 88 or something like that. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think all they do is hit, dude. That's
it. That's all they did. Give us is hits. I expect nothing less with Fable. Personally, I just want to see it. Please let us see it at E3.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm hoping, which I will be at E3. Kane Santa and I cannot wait. Again, my most exciting aspect about E3 2023 should be the games, but it's actually not. It's the people.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of people. I mean, a lot of community members that I have podcasted with, that I've heard on shows, that I've seen on Twitter, that I'm actually going to meet. That was my favorite part of E3 2019 was meeting the people, actually hanging out. And I don't drink, so I wouldn't have a beer. I'd have a Dr. Pepper, or as Ainsley knows, good friend of mine personally, a $12 glass of ginger ale.
What in the world?
What the hell?
Did they we went to one of these and slice it up for you right there?
No, they did nothing.
You feel a little loopy later after
was
doing
a
that?
ginger ale. I am telling you. And you know what they did? You know how cheap this place was? And it wasn't cheap. I don't mean they took the little glass bottles, this big, folks, cracked it open and poured it into the glass, and that was my drink. I had two of them because Ain said, "Do you want to drink?" I said, "I don't drink. I don't like alcohol."
You said $12 drink or $13?
$12 ginger ale. Jesus,
that's
Could you imagine what it would
that's
cost
a ginger
now?
fail.
I like that.
I'm sorry, I had to be cheesy for a second.
But
Ainsley,
shout out to you for buying me those two drinks. But they were literally...
I'm with you though on that though, Boom. Like that's the one leading factor of why I want to go to E3 this year. I'm trying. The people. I want to meet all of you all. I really do. I want to get to see you guys and meet you, and you meet me and go have drinks and all of that, and maybe your $24 double drink. Absolutely, I'll treat you to one of them.
Well, yes,
but I'll give you the side eye too. Like, so you're really gonna drink that, huh? But but yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to actually get out there this year. I really am. Kay was talking to us. We had him on the show last week, and he was talking about how you guys had planned some things out, and he's going an extra mile of making out a list for Airbnbs and things like that.
He actually found ours. Ours is pretty good. So he's gonna try and help out people in the community still looking to go.
Which is dope,
Yeah,
by the
lock
way.
up those Airbnbs early because those
Shout out to
they,
Kay for that.
they
by the
go
way.
out quick. The flight is going to be the flight's going to be the flight. It's going to cost what it's going to cost. But
Yeah. How much is it for you, by the way, Boom, coming from where you're at to LA?
The last time I went, I think the flight wound up costing me $8 and change both ways. So
But that's not that bad, actually.
no,
That's
no.
not bad.
After the luggage and everything, it was probably about $1,000. You know, between getting back and forth from home and you know, putting in the extra luggage because I only bring 2 pieces of luggage, a carry on and one big bag with the stuff because you're going to be out there for like 5-6 days. So yeah, about 800. Now I would imagine it's going to be a little bit more, but it's a once a year thing, and
Absolutely.
I write it off anyway because I'm already covering it for the channel, so I would just write it off.
Perfect. You know what? One thing I'm wondering though, because Microsoft, from what the news we've heard and the information we've heard, and that they're not part of E3 proper. It seems
they're doing their offsite
a week before, right? It's going to be a week before.
I don't think it's a week. All we know
I
is
think
that
it's
they're
3
gonna
days.
be there. It's okay. How it usually works, at least how it worked the last time when I went to FanFest. Sunday was the show, right? The big show, right? I got a chance to meet a lot of people over there, which was amazing. I was like 6th row with King David. I met Jez Corden was behind us. It was amazing. Tim Dog was sitting off to my left. It was just crazy.
Did Jez solicit you with like some beans or something?
No beans, and certainly no mayo for you, Jez.
Yeah. He loves the dang mayo.
Yeah, I was 6 rows away from, you know, Keanu Reeves saying, you know, you're beautiful, or whatever it was.
So you were there for that one.
I was there for that. Yeah,
nice.
I was also there for Tim Schafer. He was in that. You know, he came out and goes, "Yeah, we've been bought by Microsoft. Hi, how you doing? I'm Tim Schafer." You know, awesome dude. But how they did it last time? Well, that really is the last thing because 2020 was canceled. I was going with the Iron Lords in 2020, and then we had to, you know, COVID happened. But it was the show on that Sunday. And Monday, the next day, that's where the Microsoft Theater, they had the Fan Fest. So I would imagine that Sunday, Kay and I are flying in on Friday. So I think that Sunday is the Microsoft event. And again, they haven't confirmed anything. I'm thinking that's what it's going to be because they usually kick off E3. And then that Monday would be Fan Fest. I don't know if I'm going to get in. I hope that I get in. But, you know, that's how it usually works. And an E3 is going to have press up front for the first couple of days for the actual proper E3. I think there's a day break in the middle for Wednesday, and then they open it up to the general public Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
You know, you got to have yourself a special Xbox Factor or Xbox.
I actually podcasted.
blog.
Yeah, I did a couple of them, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
One of my biggest videos that hit like 60,000 views, like within a day, was the Fortnite booth. I covered it, and it was amazing. Like they had all the characters there.
Yeah,
Holy
that'd be
shit,
dope.
it was crazy.
But imagine getting yourself Kay and maybe, I don't know, King David or somebody, and you all kind of congregate and talk about what was shown.
Dude, yes,
on film
yeah,
right there,
it was,
and you got to live stream it right there to us.
I'm gonna try. I'm definitely gonna have a good camera, and I'm gonna be doing camera work for Kay. Kay's gonna do camera work for us. We're going to pretty it up for everyone that's gonna tune in. But listen, before again, we still have half an hour of the show. I got a dentist appointment at 2:30, so I gotta get out of here at 2 exactly. But we gotta talk about Benji Sales because he posted something the other day that got me so excited. Who here in the chat is a fan of Alan Wake? Well, I am definitely a fan of Alan Wake. I'm a huge fan. I loved its very poetic, if you will, take on survival horror. I loved finding the pages of putting this book back together. I loved that you weren't fighting zombies and ghosts. You were fighting like these shadow creature things that you used your light to burn them down, and then you used your shotgun, and it was amazing. It was a big exclusive for Xbox during the 360 era. They had Alan Wake America's Nightmare, which came to Xbox. What was it? The arcade, Xbox Arcade, which was my favorite time in 360 history. And that was an amazing side story. But folks, we are officially getting an Alan Wake 2. It is going to be multi-plat. I don't care. I just want an Alan Wake 2. Well, thanks to Benji Sales, he posted what we can expect from the sequel to what was a powerful Xbox exclusive, because it did sell pretty well, and it was Remedy. I love Remedy. I know not everyone loves them, and that's fine, but I happen to really enjoy Remedy's work. According to Benji Sales, folks, this is what he has confirmed regarding Alan Wake 2. It is going to be a true survival horror game. Remedy wants to put their stake on the game. Alan Wake 2 is Remedy's biggest project yet, and they're going to be doing something. This is what I found very interesting in welcoming new players who did not play through the original, but also lots of connections to the lore of Alan Wake 1 and Control, which we know is all in the same universe. That is dope AF. I loved the Alan Wake DLC for Control. If you're a fan of Alan Wake, you would have probably dug it too. I know a lot of people didn't like Control. I really actually like Control. I thought it was phenomenal. The powers were great. I got a very, it did have some Alan Wake to it, but it also, what was the game I just mentioned from them that they did? That was an exclusive. Oh my God, what was that? Hey, having brain farts live on the air. It was the game that was exclusive that with the movies. The Xbox had
Quantum Break.
Yes, Quantum Break. Yes,
Okay.
it had a very Quantum Break power aspect to it. I really liked Quantum Break, and I really liked Control. I'm going to start first with you, my good brother, Infinite Umbra. Let's go to you because you jumped into this first. You're a fan, obviously. Let's talk about it. Alan Wake 2 is going to be the evolution of survival horror, at least for Remedy. They know how to tell a great story. I'm super jazzed for this.
Yeah, me too. I know a bunch of people, actually, a few good buddies of mine who were like tearful hearing this announcement. And by the way, Alan Wake was one of those games that kind of suffered due to negativity around
It sure
Xbox.
did, man.
Yep.
It sure did. Yep.
Yeah. I'm interested. I mean, if they're saying it's going to be the biggest game they've done yet, then that's a lot of hype right there. And I know Control got a lot of press. It was even nominated for Game of the Year, I believe.
Yep, sure was.
So if they're saying that they're going to put their all into this, that's what it's telling me, at least. And these are the guys, that did Sam Lake, of course, who made Mad Max, who made
Max Payne.
Max Payne, thank you. And so this right here is an evolution for them, and it's a bigger step forward. I'm just wondering if they're going to continue, like what the deviations are they going to be if they're talking about this is going to be their biggest game. To me, that tells me they're going to go in more of an action-oriented way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, which is cool with me, because I think although Alan Wake did have a nice uniqueness to it, where it was, like you said, more poetic in a sense, with you finding these words and letters and such to read and things in the atmosphere, or environment, to uncover what happened with him and this lady. But this is pretty cool in itself, the thought, at least, that I'm getting from this. I think too, if they're talking about, I don't know why put their stake was emphasized, by the way. I don't think you want to be hunting vampires or something like that. But yeah, I feel like it is good to see this come back. I want to see them at their best when it comes to something like this. And if they're talking about this is going to be their biggest yet, I'm pretty sure the budget that they're going to put for this is going to be really nice. I'm expecting some nice, really good visuals for this, for one, and I'm expecting it to be in a vein of more, I guess, along the lines of a Resident Evil 2 remake or something like that. As far as combat, that's what I'm getting from it. And maybe I might be going a bit too far. I don't think Alan is going to be suddenly having powers or something like that, outside of using his flashlight, but we'll see where they go with it. But I am interested in it. By the way, did you all notice the model that they're using? It looks a little different.
Yes.
He looks vastly
the guy in the trailer.
Yeah. Like before, he looked like John Stamos, right?
Yeah, he definitely looks. I don't know if they're sticking with that, but in the little teaser that they have for it,
yeah,
I
wasn't feeling that. I'm like, who's
I
this?
wasn't
John
either.
Wick's cousin? Like, who's this? He looked like John Wick, the dollar store version. Yeah, I wasn't feeling that. Give me back John Stamos. Give me back Uncle Jesse. You know.
Right.
But yeah, but I'm excited to see where they go with it. Like I said, there's such a big budget behind it. Tells me they're really going to go all out. I guess they have no reason to not go all out. You know what I mean? They're bringing back one of their most beloved IP. So, and they have control of it again now outside of Microsoft. So I'm interested in seeing where they go with it.
Yeah, me too. I think we're gonna get Quantum Break vibes in regards to its production value, because if you remember Alan Wake at the time, it was great. Now you play it now, you're like, wow, this is really not that great. Even the better version of it. I still think that this is going to be something spectacular. I'm glad that Remedy owns it and that it's going to come back with it. I'm hoping that Microsoft gets in front of this because obviously, Control was marketed by PlayStation. And PlayStation does what PlayStation does. Everyone thought it was an exclusive. And I would love to see Microsoft team up again with Remedy to bring back what was known as an Xbox exclusive and to get the marketing rights for this. Maybe even get it into Xbox Game Pass. Drop the bag. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Retri, let's get your hot take opinion on this. Where do you kind of fall for Alan Wake 2? Is this something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I just want to point out what God in the chat said. Jake Gyllenhaal. He very much looks like kind of old school Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
I can kind of see that a little bit.
Yeah, kind of in the facial structure. Remedy kind of hits and misses for me. Alan Wake hit for me definitely. And I don't know if it's a nostalgia thing. I did not play the updated one, so I don't know how it would feel with the controls and whatnot. But I absolutely loved Alan Wake 1. I really liked just the darkness and the atmosphere in the game. And like you said, Boom, it was very different using your flashlight to like burn up the enemies. And the game scared me. I'm a wuss, so I was kind of like,
the game has some scary elements to it. Like like if you're a fan of Friday the 13th, not the newest stupid ones, like the old ones. You're running through a barn and you see all these tools and you hear stuff. And you're like this. You're like with the you're looking. Yeah, man, that game gave you some scares.
I mean, I'm a wuss. That's fine. But I love horror games. So, but I always I'm the guy who like, I won't just like slowly open the door and look around. I like jump through the door, run into a corner, use my flashlight, start looking around. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm that wuss. I'm that person. Just start swinging just in case. But yeah, so I loved Alan Wake. Control for me wasn't a bad game. Wasn't great for me either. I enjoyed the story, so I have a lot of faith in the writer of Control and obviously the new Fable. But I don't know, something felt off about Control. I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't even really know why I disliked it. The combat was okay. I thought it was going to be a bigger leap forward personally from, games like Alan Wake and like games like PsyOps and stuff with, telekinetic powers. I just didn't feel like it was pushing the limits too much. But yeah, I just want a great narrative. I agree with Umbra. I think that graphically this is probably going to be a huge leap going forward from Alan Wake 1 to this one. So in that regard, I am very excited. Out of all the things that Remedy could work on, this definitely excites me personally. I'm just hoping they can pull it off because I'm not sure if it's just based on nostalgia for me, because I remember loving that game so much. So we'll see. We'll see if they can.
I'm wondering, by the way, Retri, because we're both focusing on the visuals. Do you think that they might use the Northlight engine and steel, or do you think they might go to something else, like say Unreal Engine?
I mean, it's
well, I'm also not popular in saying this, but I would be perfectly fine if they went with Unreal, specifically because I think it would play great for this game, because there was so many lighting techniques and upgrades from Unreal 4 to 5 that could play really well. And Alan Wake's a very dark game. If it's anything like 1, it's extremely dark. So when you have like really good contrast and you have really good lighting and you have lamps and ray trace reflections, maybe if we're lucky enough, when you have stuff like that in a game that is very dark, it makes a huge difference. Lighting is so important in my opinion to the next Alan Wake. So
Absolutely.
and Unreal
Absolutely.
is just, it's so good in that regard. And like I said before, if there's any issues with Unreal, it's going to be the first engine that gets patched, because of course there's issues with Unreal. There always is with updates, right? But it's going to be the quickest tool that's going to get patched as fast as possible, just because so many damn people are using it. So
true.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I would imagine that maybe they try to keep it the same because of Control, being that it is in the same universe. So maybe they don't change the engine, not to change what it looks like. I don't know.
I don't think they will, but I would like them to.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine because there was some jankiness to Control. There's definitely was some jank there for sure.
Yep.
And some of the animations weren't fantastic. So Unreal. Well, I mean, listen, Infinite Number's not wrong. Infinite, you know, he says that he's a big Unreal fan, and there's a reason for it. Unreal Engine 5 is going to change our lives for gaming. When it hits, you're gonna be like, oh. I mean, just look at the demo for Matrix. That's a perfect example.
Every now and then I go back and look at that, and I'm like,
crazy.
How is this a game? How is this? This is not real. Like the first time I booted it up, and I was like, "What is this? What is
happening?" Yeah,
I'm actually moving in this thing. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
Speaking of Unreal, I want to. I'm sorry. I want to go off a quick tangent on because a lot of people were complaining with that Matrix demo. What was the frames per second and when it was hitting, because the visuals were so high, the frames, everything else was taking a hit, somewhere around 24 frames. In my head, when I saw that, I was like, "What if studios like Telltale Games, if you kind of think of like The Walking Dead, you don't need a high frame rate. What if they were to make, visual eye candy like they did for the Matrix, just for point and click games, guys? Think about that for a second.
Ridiculous.
You do not need those high frame rates. That it could look absolutely amazing.
So true.
Sorry.
I agree. No, good stuff. I like what you're putting down. I mean, it's certainly an idea, and certainly something we may get from like Kojima on his game, right? We don't know what that's going to be. But real quick, I got to shout out a couple people before we get Danny in here, and then we get on out. Jericho, who's not only a new channel member, he has gifted a Double Barrel Gaming membership. Thanks so much for that. It's very kind of you, and hopefully whoever wins it sticks around and helps us do these big giveaways that Mrs. BoomStick and I do 4 to 5 times a year, and we can only do that with the help of super chats, obviously, and channel membership. Game Player HUD 0, channel member for over a year, has dropped me a super chat of $2. Thank you for the generosity, brother. And I did see your direct message. I did answer you. Yes, we're going to be covering it. And Luke Steele has confirmed that he will be joining us tomorrow evening. I'm waiting to see if I can get Post up on the show. Obviously, he is another guy. If you're not following him, follow that dude.
Post has been on it. My Chi-Town brother right there. Absolutely.
He guy knows
ABK stuff. He is all over it.
Stuff. So I reached out to Post up. I'm going to see if I can get him on. I did talk to him a couple of weeks last week on the DM, and we're just trying to match up our schedule. So hopefully we can get him and Luke Steele tomorrow evening on Primetime Gaming to talk about this. Yeah, Sony is dug their heels in the sand, and they are not giving up the information that has been requested by both the FTC and Microsoft. I think there's going to be problems. We have Writer for Life 76 drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, Quantum Break was a better game. What's up, panel? Well, what's up to you, brother? And yes, I tell people haven't played it. Go to Game Pass right now and download it. Your mind is going to be blown on how good that game is. It got negative press. Yep. Everyone did what everyone does and piles on Microsoft, and a good game got thrown to the wayside because of negativity. So go play that game.
And I've heard people say that they like that better than Control plenty of times, by the way.
Yeah, me too. I actually liked it better than Control, to be honest with you. Much better. Tom from Toonami drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Blade Runner point-and-click game remade in Unreal Engine 5? Yes, please. I will take that right now. And Daniel says no. Daniel, let's get your opinion on Alan Wake 2. Is it a game that you're gonna play? Are you excited to see what they could possibly do on the heels of Control, which it was nominated for Game of the Year? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for it. I think Remedy is one of probably the best studios going right now, and I don't even know that that's really a matter for debate. Like they kill it consistently. Basically since the first Alan Wake. Every single game that they've put out has been absolutely killer. I really love the sort of like small town paranormal vibe. It's great.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I think maybe the original games that they did, the Max Payne ones, I think those are maybe a little bit more hit and miss. They're definitely for that dad crowd, the kind of people, the kind of people who would make bets that Sonic would sell more than God of War. Those kind of people. I think that they would.
God, right there. Sante's in the chat, so he's smiling from ear to ear. There you go.
Yeah, I think that those games are really made for the kind of people who would give up their knees.
Mine are gone. I'm hobbling as we speak.
I love that game. Max Payne was the S. It was awesome.
But Remedy's absolutely phenomenal. I'm really excited for genuinely anything that they put out there. It's if it was a completely new IP, I would still be excited for it.
Yeah,
they're one of those studios where I'm just here for the ride. And it's what was it like last week, the week before? Phil Spencer put out another interview, and he had the Alan Wake 360 on his shelf. What does it mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Are we getting it in Game Pass? They're going to be some kind of deal there. So I mean, so far, I don't think there's been a single thing on his shelf that amounted to nothing. So
that's correct. That is absolutely correct.
That means
yes,
something. I wouldn't expect like a full.
Phil loves doing that too. Like he'll never admit it, but he when he talks about it, he smirks. And when he smirks,
he knows what he's doing.
He's doing it on purpose. Yeah, we know what you're doing, Phil. We know what you're doing.
So I'm really excited. It's definitely interesting because the fact that they specifically point out that they're like, we want to make it feel like a proper like survival horror style game is an interesting take, because I feel like that's more of a thing towards Control or for Quantum Break, where those were two very much more action based games. But I think Alan Wake 1 was pretty much a survival horror game. It maybe wasn't as much heavy on the resource management as like some older survival horror games like the classics. Right. But I think it's good to know that they're sort of going back to the roots of the first Alan Wake in that regard. And yeah, I mean, everything in that trailer just gets me really excited. I just rewatched it; it's like a minute long, and he's looking all worn out. He's a little bit old. He's got grown his hair out a little bit. He's holding this like weird device that's like just a light bulb on the end of it looks like a rod with like a gun trigger on it. I don't know what that's about. There's so much that I could speculate on this game, and at some point I probably will. But I'm just excited. Give it to me now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I listen. You could say what you want about maybe you're not a fan of some of the graphics choices that they have done, but you really can't argue that they write really good stories. Now I know people can be like, oh, that first-person shooting game that they made that was supposed to be better than Call of Duty. That they're going to close the service.
Okay, everybody's got to pay their bills too.
Listen, I don't know what happened with that, folks. I can't even tell you, but I can tell you I'm excited for Remedy's next game in Alan Wake 2. I've said this before. I've said it publicly and privately. I would love for them to become Microsoft first party. I think that ultimately consolidation is going to be a big part of the industry moving forward, regardless of what happens with the ABK deal. Smaller companies can no longer survive in this world without the help of another. You look at it. Everything costs so much money for everything. It's just becoming a problem. So who knows? But real quick, Drawn TJ dropped a $5 super chat and says Xbox needs 3 different studios, a remaster studio and a polishing studio, as well as a support studio. Yeah, they need to do that for sure. They need to pull a page out of the way PlayStation makes their games and supports during development, so it's not put onto the shoulders of the one development house, and they can get it done, go somewhere else to get it polished up and movie-like looking, and then another group of people to test it to make sure that it works. It works for Sony. It can work for Microsoft. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it today for the Xbox Factor podcast. I thank the near 450 people we had here Thank you so much for supporting the channel with your views, with your thumbs up, with your likes, as well as you supporting the channel through various ways in channel membership and super chats. Again, those are used for a great purpose of giving back to the community. My wife and I, it's what we do, and we have a couple of big contests that are be coming up soon. But let's get to the outros. Retry, sell your brand, brother. You got some stuff going on with Game Pass _daily. Talk about that YouTube channel where people could subscribe and, more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me Game Pass _daily on Twitter and Game Pass daily on TikTok and YouTube. Make all Game Pass content, obviously. And if you guys want to join our Xbox community and game with us, just hit up my gamer tag, Retry. It's right there on Xbox and PC. Don't worry about it. I've had some people be like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Just friend request me. It's fine. Join us. I got a video coming up talking about Xbox Live Gold to Game Pass Ultimate conversion. If you're lapsing on your Game Pass Ultimate subscription, watch that video first. It should be coming out this week. You can save up to like $390 for 3 years of Game Pass Ultimate. You guys are going to want to do that if your subscription is lapsing. So that's what I got. Boom.
All right, excellent.
Thanks
Good work as always. Infinite Umbra, sell your brand, brother. Where are you going to be Friday evening this week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? More importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media? And is there an update to when you're going to launch your own channel?
You know, that is a bit on hold, Boom, because I can't get in contact with some of the people that we talked about, unfortunately. So I'm still trying to get that.
Coming for you.
And the cops are on their way. You know,
they're always there. They're
always trying to hold a brother down. You already know how it is. But yeah, I'm trying to get in contact with those guys, and I know they're busy, so it's kind of just unfortunately I'm stalled by that a bit. I got everything else in. Not everything else, but I have a lot of it done. But Boxenberger, by the way, to give a shout out to him and love to him, he used to help me a lot with the layout and stuff like that. And I got a good layout of what I want done. I'm going to have somebody actually make a much more professional version of that. No shade to him, of course, when I'm saying that, because they are a graphic designer. And yeah, but by the way, you all can find me, of course, on Twitter under Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And of course, this Friday, as Boone pointed out, at 7 o'clock Eastern on the Xbox Infinite podcast with myself, Riskit, Jedi Knight Peter, and Doom Cutie. As far as, just want to mention this, Hi-Fi Rush, I have to give it this praise again. I gave it a mini review. The game is a 9 out of 10 for me. I've beaten it twice now, very hard. Yeah, beat it on very hard first to start off, which probably wasn't the smartest choice because they were kicking my tail a little bit. That final boss, especially.
Yes.
But you know this.
Oh yeah.
I'm at him right now. I'm at
over 40 tries
right now.
Over 40 tries for me to beat him.
On very hard. He is very hard. So yeah. So but I beat it on very hard, and I beat it on normal, and I'm beating it on easy, because the thing is, you have to beat it on every difficulty to get that achievement. You can't play it on the hardest and get the lower difficulties, which is odd, but whatever. Okay. And then there's a tougher difficulty after very hard, which I have to do. So I'm going to be on this game for a second. They did great in-game content as far as that goes too. I love it. To me, I called it a rhythmic DMC, and that's exactly what it feels like to me.
That's a great way great comparison. Yeah.
Yep. And I played earlier, by the way. I played some Age of Empires 2. My first time ever playing it. I played with Jedi Knight Peter, and these people, and what I mean by these people, whoever they were in this land, it was me and him teamed up. They decimated me. I just want to point that out. I was like, who are these? Are these the medieval Nazis? Is this Genghis Khan, his cousin? They kept killing me. It was like, listen, I couldn't provide enough citizens before they murdered them all. I'm like, what is going on? They were my next door neighbors. They tore down my fences. They came in and started chopping up my houses. I'm like, what is, like, look, man, I'm just trying to make a farm. I don't want any smoke. They just destroyed me. I had to have Pete help me out. He sent this army, and his army decimated them a few times over, and finally they just kept coming back and killing off all my citizens. And finally we rushed down there, me and him and his big army. We took that whole village out. I'm like, yeah, who's the boss now? So I felt good about that. But yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, you all get a chance, try it out.
Nice, good stuff. And then Xbox Game Pass, go figure. And they did
Absolutely.
apparently some
Right.
really good things with the controller on where
They
you
did.
control
I
it. which is-
played it. They made a big leap, and I didn't think they were gonna be able to pull it off. It's actually pretty easy on
Nice.
the Xbox.
I got to try.
Well.
I've never played an Age of Empire game in my life. I have to play it now that I'm hearing the infinite Umber stories.
If you could find a
Uh,
capable gamer that knows how to use it, boom, get with them so they can help you and they can. get you there.
Boxenberger is a master.
Perfect.
He'd be the one.
Yeah,
Box will be Box is patient too, so he'll be right
Yeah.
there helping you out.
Nice,
Boom,
nice.
you must press L trigger.
And then you could,
I love
yeah,
it.
Box will be perfect for you.
Yeah, he definitely would. We got to get back on here. But listen, last and no way least, Daniel McGee, some of the best short and long content, especially if you're a fan of the DCEU, because he rewrote the whole thing. And I said that James Gunn should hire him. Hopefully the phone will be ringing soon enough. Daniel, sell your brand, brother. Talk about your YouTube channel and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah. Hit me up, Mr. Gunn. I got some ideas, and it looks like you're looking for some ideas because that slate you put out had a lot
Ain't
of
it?
a lot of filler in there. But hey, we'll talk about it. Don't worry, I'll get you back on track. You can find me on Twitter at Daniel J McG. That's Daniel J MCG, or on YouTube it's just Daniel McG. Much like Umbra, I've also been playing a lot of Hi-Fi Rush lately, and I actually just recorded a review for it last night.
Nice.
Nice. I got to check that
You
out.
muted.
You muted, Denny.
I think we lost him.
Oh, he froze.
He froze.
Yes.
We'll never know if he liked Hi-Fi Rush. You'll have to go to Danny's channel to check it out. You're welcome.
Check out, go to his channel and check him out and support him. I'm guessing he's uploading it today.
Yeah, he'll be putting
Or
out
right
that video
now.
soon
Maybe
enough.
that's why he
But
froze.
listen, some changes coming to all of the intros. In the coming
he's
day.
back.
Oh, there he is.
There you
Talk
go.
about it. You froze,
Yeah, I don't know,
brother.
that was bad. So I'm working on
That was James Gunn. He froze you in time.
he
You
actually
say
broke
filler,
through.
eh? Yeah,
He broke through onto my other monitor, Amanda Waller, and was like, yeah, I see some of them ideas. Send them on over. Anyway, no. So I'm doing a review on that. It should be going up tomorrow. So come on by the channel today. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, be the first to watch it when it goes live tomorrow. Spoilers. I think that game's quite good.
Yeah.
So-
One of the best so far in 2023. The fact that we didn't really know much about it is shocking. The fact that it's literally like perfection. It is
Yep.
perfection at every turn of the game. It doesn't happen in
I can't
in
find anything
development.
wrong with it.
Yeah,
I literally
people,
can't
people
find.
are
I
hunting
can't
for
say
bugs.
anything bad about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
It's one of those games you
Real
can't
quick,
really
in regards to the update for the channel for the openings and the intros and the outros, Sean LeBrie is currently working with me to spruce up the intros and the outros. What he has done already, which if you didn't see on Breakfast with Boom, I unveiled it last week. He is doing some things with me. He's working on it as we speak. I cannot wait. I'm very, very excited. And even though this is a multi-plat outro, I'm going to play it for you. But like I said, he is working for, specifically for each one of the shows that I do. New intros are coming for every one of the shows, Monday through Friday. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a big shout out to you being here, supporting the channel. I wish you a great day. Enjoy gaming, whatever console you enjoy gaming on. Go play Hogwarts. Don't listen to these flat earthers about how you shouldn't play the game. Don't do that. These developers worked hard. Avalanche, you saw me posting pictures. The game is unbelievably gorgeous. It's so much fun. And if you're a fan of that Wizarding World, wow, the attention to detail is sick. It is just unbelievable. And you can go into every store. It's crazy. It's
amazing.
crazy good. I'm 7 hours in. If I didn't have a dentist appointment, I would be playing right after this. I just have to go for my every 6 months cleaning, and that's why we're ending the show where we are. But here's the outro, and again, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast."